family photos that have hung there for generations, and into the kitchen, where we'll sit at Granny Marble's kitchen table and we'll talk about the things that are affecting agriculture today. If I missed it, I'm Larry Marble, and you're my neighbor. And neighbor, let's begin our lunchtime tradition where Hop Sing's going to serve you chicken fried steak, jalapeno gravy, plenty of Annie's yeast rolls, and a cold cucumber salad, and a glass of iced tea, with an appetizer of ag weather here in Down on the Farm Country. Let's take a look at one of the communities in Down on the Farm Country, Abilene, Texas. Sunny today, 80 the high, 47 the low. Friday the 6th, sunny, 77 the high, and 55 the low. Let's drop down to Sonora, where we have a radio station also. 80 today, 77 tomorrow. Neighbor, let's drop down to Three Rivers, where we've got lots and lots of Down on the Farm radio listeners. Mostly sunny today, 80 and 49. And then we'll drop all the way down to the coast of Texas, where you're listening to me from. That's right. My studio is in Fulton on the bay, Aransas Bay. We are in the 70s right now, looking for a high of 79 and a low tomorrow morning of 63 under a mostly sunny sky. So, neighbor, there's ag weather across the big old middle of Down on the Farm Country as we drive right through the middle of it, going from north to south. Maybe tomorrow we'll go west to east or east to west and cover some more of Down on the Farm Country.
The formula for success is a simple one. Put strong in, get strong out. That's why cotton growers looking to improve yield potential plant Delta Pine Grand Cotton, featuring 100 years of proven yield potential and exclusive genetics in every bag. Strong is a legacy all its own. Protect yours with strong cotton from Delta Pine. Always read and follow IRM where applicable, grain marketing and all other stewardship practices and pesticide label directions.
Neighbor, let's take a look at the commodities of ag interest as they have begun to trade today. We'll utilize again DTN's Southern Crops edition that we've used for, 25 years, and it has not failed us yet. As we go toward the market page to see kind of what corn, beans, wheat, and cotton are doing, corn futures were up sharply following the surging soy complex and helped by the sharply lower U.S. dollar. U.S. corn now is priced as the cheapest feed grain in the world. Prospects are for the already excellent export pace to expand at even a faster pace into spring. As we look toward beans, surging again for the third straight day, and January has exceeded that $11 rally over 60 cents in the past 4 days, fueled by the renewed bullish moves in world vegetable oils. In wheat, all three wheat markets are up sharply, led by Kansas City December, which has now rallied for 4 straight days and is up 35 cents. Driving the wheat rally is still the very dry forecast for the eastern Ukraine and southern Russia, and rising world wheat prices, along with a sharp fall in the U.S. dollar. And we know that a cheaper dollar means more value to our exports. Let's take a look at cotton. December cotton is higher today, albeit fractionally so. The market is supported by a falling U.S. dollar and the belief that the 2020 crop is becoming significantly smaller and smaller every day. Current harvesting activities have resumed in many areas nationwide, but recent adverse weather events have caused a loss in quality and quantity. Still, the market is having a hard time improving higher or moving higher during this seasonal time that typically trades lower. USDA reported its weekly export sales at 830. Sales were lower, but shipments were higher. The summary of the report is as follows, and we'll try to do it shotgun because it's pretty long. Net sales, 115,600 running bales for the 2021 season. We're down 60% from the previous week, 42% from the prior 4-week average. Increases primarily from China at 47,300 running bales, Pakistan at 25,200, Turkey at 22,500, South Korea at 16,600, and Guatemala at 15,900. The Labor Department reported this morning that 751,000 U.S. workers had filed for benefits compared to 758,000 the previous week. Economists had been expecting 741,000. This was the third straight week that claims were below 800,000. In the fourth week, the moving average fell before 787,000. Support today for December cotton stands at 69.80. Resistance 69.80. Overnight, estimations, according to Keith Brown from Commodity Consultants and DTN's, about 7,150 contract. I'm on the line with Sam from D&D. Sam, what do you want to tell us about today?
Larry, right now we're having a sale, huge blowout sale of 2096 Stay Tough deer wire for only $359.
How long does the sale go on, Sam?
It's going to go on for the end of the month or while supplies last.
Tell everybody how to contact you at D&D.
You can contact one of our friendly staff members at 830-379-7340.
Neighbor, let's turn our head and steer our gaze toward the livestock market. And I know you've heard me use that phrase before. I love phrases. I love old phrases, and that's one of those old phrases that says we're going to change the direction of our attention, as if our attention was to gaze someplace else. So if you get tired of me using them, you just need to stay tired because I use them a lot. As we look toward the general comments in livestock, we see that active gains in the livestock futures follow the firm gains in most outside markets today. Trade in cattle and hog futures is focusing on a combination of technical and fundamental support. Looking for additional short-term market triggers to draw additional interest into the market over the next few trading days will be what we will look at. Corn, again, is traded higher. We talked about that. That'll affect livestock. Stock markets are higher in limited morning trading. Of course, that does in a roundabout way. The Dow is about almost 500 points higher than NASDAQ, up about 296. As we look at beef exports for the week, October remained limited with about 20,400 metric tons of exports. Looks like Japan and South Korea were the largest purchasers last week. 4,700 and 4,600 metric tons sold to those countries, respectively. China purchased 3,600 metric ton. Cash cattle started trading yesterday. We saw deals on the hoof and the dirt at 106 and 107. The hot and hanging deals were anywhere from 163 to 167. The majority of them I saw at 164. That makes cash cattle prices $1 per hundredweight higher than last week, but the feeders continue to focus on being able to leverage current support in futures in the boxed beef trade in order to push cash trade higher at the end of the week. That's yet to be determined. We can tell you that prices in this portion of the country have gone up, and you'll see by how much when we do some livestock market operator reports here later. In today's program, I know you always look forward to them, and I do too, because that's about the time that Hop Sing feeds us, and I know you're getting hungry. I can hear your belly rumbling from across the table, but it's not that time yet. Right now, we need to go to the Texas Farm Bureau Radio News Desk. Let's see what's happening in today's edition of Texas News and Views.
Fruit harvest in Deep South Texas. I'm Tom Nicoletti with Texas News and Views from the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network. More in a minute.
I'm a cotton farmer.
I'm BASF.
I'm made of grit, passion, and hands that never stop working.
I'm made of agronomics, innovation, and hands that never stop helping.
I believe cotton isn't a crop. It's a calling. I'm made to grow it.
Protect it.
I know this is important to my family.
Every family.
That's why I work harder.
Innovate better.
To make my cotton as good as it can be.
As protected as it can be.
I'm a cotton farmer.
I'm BASF.
We create chemistry.
Conventional wisdom says that you get what you pay for, and conventional wisdom is right. You won't find Crystalix in the bargain aisle, but it will always get optimal performance out of your cattle. Whether you feed it in a steel or plastic barrel or our sustainable single-trip bio barrel, Crystalix is more than just a supplement. It's an investment. With Crystalix, performance is served. Visit Crystalix.com to find a dealer near you.
Today we go to the Texas Rio Grande Valley, and Jim Hearn is reporting for us on activity in the southernmost region of the state. And Jim, grapefruit harvest is and orange harvest well underway. And so tell us what citrus producers are reaping from their groves out there.
Well, thank you, Tom. Pleasure to be with you today. And it's a busy time for Valley producers. Our citrus harvest is underway, both oranges and grapefruit. Now, you'll remember Hurricane Hannah did a pretty good number on the citrus industry here in the Valley. Grapefruit, a lot of it was blown off the trees with the 80-mile-plus winds that we experienced with Hannah. And the oranges, though, fared a lot better. The lot smaller, and they were able to take the strong winds. So that is going on. This time of year, a lot of our fruit is going into the fundraiser and gift market. And then, of course, other shipments to other states as well. So it is a busy time for harvesting here in the Valley. Right now, the fruit looks good, maybe a little smaller than we'd like to see it, but certainly it looks like a good crop in the making. Certainly, the grapefruit and oranges good for various baskets that are assembled for the holidays. Yes, there's quite a gift fruit basket industry here in the Valley for those folks who have hard to buy for Christmas people. A good citrus basket is always a treat. Also being harvested in the Valley is sugarcane, and of course, sugarcane is pretty much an exclusive crop here in Texas that is only grown pretty much in the Rio Grande Valley. Right, and we have about 40,000 acres, maybe a little less, and right now we're going to start harvesting, and they'll harvest that well into next year. The sugar cane crop looks good, not too much impact from the bad weather. You know, one of the crops that, with Hannah, that was impacted tremendously was our cotton crop. The Valley lost about 92% of our crop due to Hurricane Hannah. And we still see a lot of the cotton still left on top of the ground that's been plowed up several times. And normally we would produce around 380,000 bales of cotton. This year we produced about 26,000. So quite a loss for the cotton industry. As far as sorghum and corn go, that harvest was complete. So there was a silver lining. That certainly was it. We had our first mini cool down the fall season. It was about 48 hours. Temperatures did get down into the upper 40s. That was kind of a shock for a lot of the folks. But we're warming back up. Daytime highs are still in the upper 80s for the most part. We're very dry. We do need a good rain, and it can't come too soon. That's Jim Hearn reporting for us today from the Rio Grande Valley.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Visit Texas Farm Bureau Insurance today at tfbinsurance.com to find an agent who's there when you need them most. Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
You are listening to Texas News and Views. I'm Tom Nicoletti with the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network.
Well, neighbor, I told you Hop Sing would be ready to feed us, and he's ringing that bell right now, so belly up to the kitchen table, Granny Marble's old kitchen table, for a plate full of chicken fried steak, jalapeno gravy, plenty of Nanny's East rolls. Now, he made some red potatoes mashed with cucumber, bacon, and some green bell pepper today, and some chives. And we've got a glass of iced tea for you to wash it all down. And Carl Herman is going to eat with us today. Carl Herman, Caldwell Livestock Commission Company. But first, Carl, walk with us into how the sale ended up yesterday in Caldwell.
Yes, sir. We had about 650 head for 108 consigners and 41 buyers on a steady cow market and calf market. On the cow side, we had 115 cows and bulls, slaughter cows 25 to 60. Slaughter bulls 70 to 87, stocker cows 600 to 975, and the pairs 775 to 1100. On the calves, on the steers, 2 to 3 weights brought 140 to 155, 3 to 4 weights 145 to 185, 4 to 5 weights 135 to 174, 5 to 6 weights, 120 to 150. 6 to 7 weights, 115 to 125. And the 7 to 8 weight steers, 104 to 116. On the heifers, 2 to 3 weights, 120 to 160. 3 to 4 weights brought 134 to 175. 4 to 5 weight heifers, 120 to 170. 5 to 6 weights, 115 to 136. 6 to 7 weight heifers, 106 to 124. And the 7 to 8 weights brought 95 to $1.13. Overall, the calf market was just a little bit better than it was last week, which is good. The cows were steady, so we look for a good sale next week.
And we've got a special coming up toward the end of the month, right?
We do. Saturday, November 14th, start at 1 o'clock. We'll have 700 fancy replacement female sales and about 10 bulls. On the bulls, we've got 5 registered Hereford bulls coming. And we've got about 2 or 3 Angus bulls, a couple of Charolais bulls, and 2 fancy Brangus bulls. So we look forward to selling them. On the cow side, we've got pairs, breds, and opens, mostly all Brafords. We've got lots of Braford cattle consigned in this sale, and looking forward to getting them sold.
Good deal.
If you have any questions or consignments, call me at 979-820-5349. Or call the barn at 567-4119. Or for the Giddings and surrounding area, call Max Ebner, 540-8676.
Carl, we appreciate you, and we'll speak to you before that next sale.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm on the line with Cole. Cole, I've got lots of wormy cattle and horses on my place. I bet you can help me out because you're from D&D, right?
Yes, sir. Here at the store, we have all your dewormer solutions in one spot. We carry drenches, pour-ons, paste, injectables, and even feed-through pellets. We got all the names that everyone loves, like Ivomec and Safeguard, as well as Ivermax and Dectomax. And for all the horse lovers, we do have a wide range of dewormers.
Cole, tell everybody how to get a hold of you.
Well, you can call up to the store and ask for Cole in the tack department, or if you're in the area, just mosey on in and I'll get you fixed up.
Thank you, Cole. You know, neighbor, we appreciate the folks from the Texas Farm Bureau Radio News Desk for providing us information each week, and it's kind of a trade-off because I am a contributing editor to Texas Farm Bureau Roundup. You hear me every other week on that, the oldest ag news program in the United States. Right now, we'll go back to Tom Nicoletti. He's speaking with a friend of mine from up in Lubbock County about what's going on in his area. You know, I grew up just north of there, born at Lockney, there at South Plains, right there close to Lockney. And then Dad moved us to Hart in 1969. And I lived there until I came back from college and went on to Tennessee and then to different places. I've enjoyed my life, but I really enjoyed the fact that I was a South Plains boy, born there. Went across the line into the Panhandle, became a Panhandle boy. But either way, you're a son of the Llano Estacada. And I appreciate the way that I grew up and the hardiness of the people. The hardiness of the people that can take an occasional ice storm like we had in that area about 2 weeks ago now, I guess. And that's what Tom Nicoletti and his guest, Eddie, are talking about. Tom?
We begin today's program with the U.S. Department of Agriculture's latest Texas Crop Progress and Condition Report for the South Plains of Texas. And quickly, small grains winter wheat seeding was slowed in most areas of the High Plains due to wet field conditions. Freezing conditions in some areas of the High Plains had halted cotton harvest due to ice storm that hit the Texas Panhandle and the South Plains last week. And from a livestock standpoint, supplemental feeding continues in the High Plains. But to get a more in-depth perspective on this, we go to Eddie Griffiths, who's reporting for us today from the Lubbock area. And Eddie, an ice storm just a week or so ago in your area of the state certainly had some impact on the cotton harvest up there.
It did, Tom. It had an impact on pretty much everything in the area. It was one of the worst ice storms in 20 years, and still feeling the effects from the ice storm. Electricity in certain areas, probably to the northeast of us, still without electricity at this time, as crews worked trying to get lines back in place and poles put back up. But it was quite the ice storm with all the power losses and, of course, shutting down harvest and what wheat was being planted out there. That halted that for a few days because the storm did bring some moisture to the area, but it was in the form of a sheet of ice. I mean, we saw thunder sleet for a couple of consecutive days. Schools were out for a couple of days, and then producers are finally able to get back in the field and get some field work done. There are still some wet areas, and especially when it comes to the cotton harvest, they have to be careful with that. But after that winter storm, it's a mixed bag out there as far as the cotton is concerned. You know, the heavily irrigated, the drip, the better cotton probably withstood the storm a little better than dryland acres that were left or limited irrigation, where it did not have as much protection. So a lot of that cotton on the ground, but it was definitely an ice storm for the ages. It's about as close as we'll probably get to a snow in this area. I know producers are going to be antsy to go ahead and get this crop out and in the module or in the bin, whatever they need to do with it, wherever they need to take it, because we get many more of those and there will not be a whole lot of crop left out there.
How much measurable ice was recorded, if you know that?
I'm not quite sure. I know on some of my farms, probably, just the ice accumulation probably equated to maybe 3/4 to an inch of moisture. Probably more importantly was, what it did to the crops. And you mentioned the livestock aspect of that. I mean, the moisture is welcome any way we can get it, but the livestock, it's pretty tough on them. It's still not enough to give them the supplemental feed they need out there for grazing. So we're still going out there feeding animals.
That is Eddie Griffiths reporting for us today from the South Plains of Texas.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Visit Texas Farm Bureau Insurance today at tfbinsurance.com to get insurance for Texans by Texans. Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Neighbor, I think we need to send our cowboy crew to ride hard up into the hill country to Fredericksburg to help Wayne Geiswhite ship out cattle that they sold yesterday, Wednesday, in Fredericksburg. Wayne, I understand it was a good sale. Walk through it with us.
Well, we ended up with 1,250 head in Fredericksburg. Cow market is about steady. The better cows kind of bring 45 to 60. Then the thin cows, you couldn't get one away. Calf market, Larry, I'd have to call the 600 downs, probably 8 to 12 higher. Spots more now. We sold some 4-weight cattle up into the 180s, 3 weights up to 190, 5 weights up to right on top of 160. 6 weights, up top out of 136. Like I say, the 600 down, I should call 8 to 12 higher, and above 600, 4 to 6 higher. The heifers, just straight across, kind of called it 4 to 6 higher. We're getting in the high 120s and low 130s last week for the good 4-weight heifers, right up in the 140s. 3 weights up in the 150s, 5 weights up close to 130, 6 weights kind of topped out at 115. It was fun selling the good cattle, Larry.
Right.
We had full moon this week, and there were a lot of cattle that were really full.
I understand.
Kind of took the fun out of it sometimes, and people wondering why some of these cattle didn't bring what we thought they would have. Is just because they were just terribly full. The lower quality cattle, basically you couldn't give one away.
Right.
Longhorns mostly bring 35 to 55 or 60 cents.
Yep.
Had a few bred heifers, that were just yearlings. Looked like they might have been bred to their dad, stuff like that.
Right.
They just not much market for that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
the good cattle today were really fun to sell. It's a whole lot better than it's been.
I understand. How about next week?
So the week of hunting season, normally we have a good run that week. So we expect to have a nice bunch of cattle this week and hope everybody be active buyers and everything will go good.
Well, tell everybody how to get a hold of you.
Right, we're at 830-997-4394.
Neighbor, I believe it's about time for us to check the grains, courtesy of John Tuggle, Tuggle & Company, Corpus. Now, you can get a hold of John at 800-288-4453 or 361-852-5207. You can email him, john@tuggle.com, and the telephone number is easy to remember, 1-800-2-TUGGLE. As we look toward Milo to Corpus, November delivery, D's plus 220, 1117. We'll call Progresso, the Mexican port of Progresso, 1050. Number 2 or better, yellow corn through Corpus, November delivery, D's plus 40, 445 and a quarter. We'll call Progresso 850 by the hundredweight. Hard red winter wheat through Corpus Christi, Texas, November delivery, D's plus 75, 634 and three quarters. We'll call Houston D's plus a dollar bill, 659 and three quarters. And we'll call number 1 beans delivered to Houston, December delivery, November less 15, 1064. We'll call Placido, November less 60, 1019. Neighbor, I always find it interesting to check Milo prices from a year ago. Now, remember, we said 1177 by the hundredweight right now. 1 year ago today, Milo was 40 over December at 756. 2 years ago today, Milo was 35 over December at 711. Now, let's take a look at Texas cotton. 1,131 bale of East Texas, 2,787 bale of West Texas. Average price for East Texas, $64.98. Average price for West Texas, $67.73. That brought our total to 3,918 bales for an average price of $66.36. Neighbor, it looks to me like that's all the time I've got for my program. Of course, I call it Down on the Farm, and they call me Larry Marble, and I've been doing this for 26 years, and I'd like to do it, 4 or 5 more if you'll help me. One way to help me is come on back tomorrow. Do business with our sponsors also. Good day. Thank you.